Here's Clint Cowpoke. Or something. Tomorrow, begin production. Robotech meets the Transformers. 2023 sequel. Space Bridge, Mush, and all the others. But this is not about that, oddly enough. Yeah, this is about the misconceptions of the. It's not a talking point list. It's just not. It's not. Misconceptions of the writer's strike, and actors that joined them. Misconceptions of that kind of thing. Just a brief, just to let you know, we're not in the Writers Guild. We're not in the Actors Guild. So we can go and do our stuff, our little blogs online and our fan films. And it's just been, we haven't for a while, for almost a year, because other family things was going on. So now that that's moved on, back into production. Yeah. So, so a lot of YouTubers have gone onto the YouTube channels, things. A handful of them are very vocal about things they don't understand. That's the case for a lot of them, regarding the whole thing. Apparently the studios are being unfair to the writers, and they want to starve them out. And they decided, oh, we're just gonna not do it. Their original model was unattainable. See, what happened is we had a certain virus of unknown origin. We had a pandemic for 2.5 years in 2020, 2021, late 2021, in which Hollywood basically couldn't do movies in theaters. And the streaming stuff took off because people couldn't leave their house. They were in quarantine. So this is not about that. This is about what happened. So the demographic changed so that we have the demographic changed. So streaming and television and online stuff became suddenly really big because people couldn't go out to the theaters. Streaming channels figured they could make a lot more money. They made a lot more shows online. So they made up these different streaming channels, bought each other out, changed each other around, did that kind of thing. And so we ended up with Disney Plus and Max now, HBO Max. We ended up with HBO Max. We ended up with Paramount Plus, which was All Access. We ended up with Discovery merging with the other one, yeah. But yeah, with WB stuff, the Peacock channel, stuff like that. But after that ended, after the pandemic ended, and people could go to the theater, that kind of tapered off, and they no longer were viable. Those streaming services are still there, and they are the future, but they're no longer viable. So on the studio end of it, they're basically saying, well, we can't afford to pay the people the same price that we pay the actual TV people on a TV show, or the movie people in the movie. We can't afford to pay them because we made it so we could do these streaming things, and then we couldn't pay them. So it's unattainable. They can't make money from just ad revenue from, say, Netflix or Disney or whatever. Some of these channels don't put up commercials. Commercial advertising popping up in in that thing. YouTube is different. We'll go into YouTube in a minute. But YouTube is different. But they have the adpocalypse as well. But yes, the ad revenue doesn't pay for anything. We were discussing this earlier, car ride, and how like my KETS channel, and well, it wasn't live. I'll tell you about it. So what was going on is production people. I'm not a producer. We produce fan films. So I don't have any money, no pony in that race, no dog in that race. But I do know a little bit about it. Listening to other people, some Star Trek people, some Star Trek fan people. There's Trek guru, Larry Mimichek, and stuff like that. Trek Yards guy, the Burnett guy, the Campy Show, other stuff like that. Red Letter Media, all those different sources on YouTube that some of them may be questionable, some of them may not. And part of the problem with your basic, this is not a talking point list, this is a thing on production. Okay, so you have your basic infrastructure of television production, at least, which is similar to movie production. You have your executive producer. Well, you have the chief above it, that runs the network. But let's start with executive producer, because all that other stuff is kind of complicated. The boss is complicated. You have your guy above there. You have your executive producer, puts out the money for the show, for TV show. Also, that other guy, the Canadian former head executive producer guy, that guy too also does this stuff. But he's more right wing and he kind of silly. But but yeah, yeah, a bunch of that Roddick doesn't know what he's talking about. Seth Rogen doesn't know what he's talking about. So here we have producers at the producer level. Sometimes producers at the producer level. Sometimes the head writer, head director. Sometimes they're also writers. But that doesn't mean that they're the writers. See, the executive producer pays for the money. The producers and the executive producers, directors, they're all getting plenty of money and nobody's starving them out. They have plenty of money. The actors that went on strike with them were not the big name actors. They're the ones underneath. They're B-list actors, not the A-list ones. Maybe some A-list ones, but mostly they're the B-list ones. Because the A-list ones don't care. They're getting millions per movie. They don't care. They don't care at all. So they don't care. But the B-list ones, the underling ones, the ones that are background characters and stuff. Yeah. Cal Cat has been a background character once or twice. Yeah. In the Three Ninjas, he was a background character because the Jung Shuan and Ernie Ray's school were on the set, and they were combined. They had a deal, and they were on the set as background characters. Couldn't say anything. They just yelled and sparred, and that was it. And then there's ProSieben Special, which was in the background, didn't have any lines. And then Nessun Dorma, which was a gay thriller in San Francisco where they needed extras, and Cal Cat and his sister were in the background of that one too. Nothing happened that they saw, but except for this one scene. They were filming a scene where there was a fight. A guy was going to punch a guy in the face, and they kept doing it wrong. The director kept filming the punch wrong. The guy kept falling into the punch, and I said, finally, I blurted out, hey, Cal Cat blurted out, he goes, he's going to punch him in the face, he's going to fall backward, not forward. I'm the director, I will do this, yes. Yelled at us, background people, like, yeah, punch him in the face. Anyway, so yeah, if you're going to do stunt choreography, you got to do it right? Yeah. What we're doing. But yeah, anyway, that's not neither here nor there. This is about the writer's strike. There were 2 writer's strikes. This is the biggest joint one since the 60s. But there was one in the 80s. There's one in the 2000s. This is a new one. So the fan films are in solidarity with the writer's strike. In earnest, I guess. But we're not WGA. So, and we're not Actors Guild either. We're not SAG. SAG. S-A-G, SAG. So we're not Screen Actors Guild. We're not Television Actors Guild either. No. Can't say that the 2 rejected Star Trek scripts from the 90s were actually make us somehow writers on Star Trek. We weren't. They were rejected. But yeah. So. But it is interesting we got to do it. That was back when they allowed that. But what's going on here is that, because it's related, what's going on here is, okay, you have executive producer arranges everything, and the executive producer puts out the money. Executive producer puts out the money. You have a director and assistant director. Assistant director basically gets the director coffee, they say, and goes around and does things, sets up a scene, maybe we'll do the B-roll, B-unit stuff on the show, get things going when other people aren't there. We fudge our A and B unit because it's us. So so we're technically not A and B unit. Well, say the B unit's coming out to do the rest of the fan film over here in the special effects later, and it's like, no, it's just us. Mark's cards though got the unknown disease, so he will not be on the set during production. He likely will show up after the first film is finished. Yeah, we're looking for a 2-week shoot. So yeah, here we are. But yeah, let's see. We have well, maybe he'll show up at the end. So we have with this we have yeah, no writer, no director, and actors. You know, we're much less actor, voice actor. So I have the yeah. So under the director, the assistant director is the head writer. The head writer controls the writer's room. Since the writer's room is technically in here, on this set, and it's just us. Well, me, the current. And yeah, there's no writer's room. So yeah, we pay homage to some of these other sites and say, oh, based on something these other people wrote, or like these Robotech stories over here, it's just we took scripts someone else already produced. These were all done by, what was it? Let's see. These were all completed by, yes, October. These Robotech stories were all completed by October, based on late October, based on the other thing. The Chimera stuff was later, like in February, March, just before the writer's strike. And the Distant Destiny story was done during the beginning of the writer's strike. But yes, yeah, so very slowly. Yeah, so the Robotech thing is right here. I'm going to, and this is not a making of that. This is on writers. So a lot of the, yeah, so you get a lot of Trek fans who are like, okay, is the writing on this Trek episode like at fault, or is the director at fault, or what makes a good episode better, and whatever. And it's like, you know, it's direction and the writing. And what I try to explain to some other blogs as well, what we've done is you have, well, it's a synergy. The whole thing is, you know, the writer pretty much gives it up to the writing team, and then the writing team finishes it. And as much as the script is part of theirs, then it's the team. So, like, you know, yeah, Fearful Symmetry was chopped up into little pieces, and bits of it were thrown out everywhere else. And a small piece of it ended up in a Deep Space Nine episode called The Ship. And a small piece of the Arbiter, the Voyager one, ended up in a small episode called Dear Doctor or something. And the other Doctor Spy, and also Flotter ended up in an episode of Voyager as well as a Blue Alien. So yeah. But yes, yes. So yeah, Flotter. Yeah. So the Flotter endocrine system was the joke there. Flow dive, of course, from Silly Trek. That was what's called a paper town character. That's when you put a character in a story so that you know somebody read your story. Put that character in there, and it popped up. And you say, oh yeah, female Florida too. Well, a bit on the nose there. Even though there were other female Vortas earlier, if you paid attention to season 1. Anyway, but yeah, but we didn't get any credit for it because it was only a little bit, just a little bit of dialogue. Not getting any credit. Wasn't in the writers' room. But that's the point. Is these writers that are suing, that are on strike, are like the ones that weren't getting the big stories. So by cutting them off and saying, well, they're the lowest on the totem pole. They need to like go to work and stuff, and have work and have mortgages and stuff. And cutting them off is messed up, because those are the writers that are going to struggle the most, because yeah, they can't just get a new gig. They can't just get, oh, I'm going to walk over to do some Flash TV show or something. I'm going to walk over to do what's another one, The Boys or something, or I'm going to walk over to do a Marvel show. They're not going to get those parts, so they're screwed. basically, and they're unknowns mostly. The ones that are known are the ones that are the minority that are out there, and they're striking with them in solidarity. But that they don't need to worry because they might write for Marvel or something, and they're like, oh, we're fine. Yeah, they're not going to kick us out. but yeah, yeah. So it's different. It's all kinds of different echelon, and yeah, and the studios are greedy, and they always were, and they want their bottom line to be like, okay, we want it like it was during the pandemic with the streaming wars, with everything, when everybody goes to streaming, and then we make a lot of money in ad revenue. Well, no, that's not the case anymore. That was a fluke. It was 2.5 years of a fluke. It might not happen like that again. Although technically, physical media television is on the out, and the TV shows are just like, there's still TV shows, there's still cable, there's still stuff out there, but it's mostly repetitive and boring and reruns and stuff. It's not a lot of new stuff. Mostly the streaming is the future, and they don't want to pay people to be on the streaming stuff because, again, it doesn't actually pay. It's just a little bit the streaming stuff, and I'm not taking their side. I'm just saying it doesn't pay. I have no dog or pony in the race. It doesn't pay. So these other guys like Retro Blaster going on about there, going like, oh, you should have YouTube media people rise up and fight them and stuff. It's like, okay, that's stupid. 10, 12 years ago on YouTube, the reason that's dumb, that wouldn't work, is 10, 12 years ago, sure, 12 years ago, when like 10 years ago, so when somebody like Clint Cowpoke had lots of thousands of subscribers, and he could go on go on the Dubtastic microwave show and appear in the background on there. Well, not on the show, but literally like go on his blog, because he was getting harangued by this other microwave show, and Idea Productions and all that, and tell him to knock it off if they were being harangued. Tell them to knock it off, and they listened. That just, yeah, a guy with 1,000 subscribers back then. And I could go out there and tell them, and they would listen, because they figured, oh, this guy is an early YouTuber, and he knows. Yeah, but yeah, I have no connection now, but back then, yeah, we knew of people that were over there, Google and YouTube. But they've since been let go, mainly because those people that were at YouTube back in the day, they were over 40. And Google just said, "Oh, you're over 40, you're done." That's what happened to them. They discriminated. You're over 40, right? 10 years ago. So, yep. But yeah, a little over 10 years ago. So that's how it works there on the internet channel. So that caveat being, also during the streaming wars, the YouTube algorithm went crazy several times. We had a copra thing go crazy. That's the inappropriate videos thing, copra thing. Or for children, even though we weren't doing that, they were doing it. YouTube was letting that happen. They were screwing it up. The algorithm, they could have designed it to basically kick the underage people out entirely, which is what they should have done. But that's that ad revenue again. Like stuff like TikTok, Pinterest, and them shows, and now Threads, the new one. Back in the day, those different sites rely on kids that are hanging around on those channels. Kids playing the games, kids playing the mobile games and stuff, kids going out there, and they really shouldn't. I mean, I'm not just saying to be all conservative or a fuddy-duddy or old guy or something. But they really shouldn't be. There should be the literal... Yeah, but they would lose their ad revenue. They would lose their ad revenue if they fixed the bots so that people couldn't lie about their age, and they had to be 18 to be on YouTube and Twitch and all that stuff. Or 16. Let's say 16. If they did that, they would lose so much ad revenue. So when they did this copper thing, they basically screwed themselves. So they're like, oh no, we screwed up, and then they blamed everyone else. So I was saying, oh yeah, we probably shouldn't have done that. That's they did, but during the thing, 4 years ago. So yeah, the era of Yeah, this guy, no, Retro Blaster's not the only guy. He's not the only guy, really. There's other ones out there complaining, oh, YouTube should rise up. It's not like it was back then. It's not like it was back when Jacksepticeye and PewDiePie and the guys that did the Nyan Cat and the guys that did, the classic stuff, the early Channel Awesome. It's not like that. It's not like that anymore. Atop the Fourth Wall, Red Letter Media, and us, all the other ones, when they started out, we're not big anymore. The algorithm screwed with us during the thing. And we went from thousands of subscribers to hundreds. They just gone. Just gone. By late 2017, they were just gone, before the pandemic. So it's a early algorithm thing going on. So I guess they went and purged a bunch of channels that were subscribed, and they just weren't there anymore. So we barely have any dent in there. I think what keeps our channel afloat is that we have a lot of videos. We post all the time, new videos, and we have over 1,000 and 100 some on there. And on the other channel, 300 and something. Kind of our channel, 100 and something. But yeah, we have 1,000 videos. So people notice that this Cowcat stuff is 1,000 videos. He's got a lot of videos out. So even if we can't see his subscriber count anymore, we can see that he's got a lot of videos. He's from back in the day. He's just still here. Yeah, we're just still here. And yeah, so we know. We were there. Back to 2007. And the other channels 2011. And some of the other ones are a little later. 2014, 2019. Anyway, so we did have it owners back in the day. And we weren't Marvel and Disney. We weren't shills. But that was the point of some of those earlier content creators. The earlier content creators that could make a difference if somebody like Retro decided to go and make a difference. Those early content creators, like Jacksepticeye or something. If he decided, I'm going to help solidarity to these guys and help them out, that would do something. But none of these smaller ones are going to do anything at all because of it got bought out 10 years ago or so. YouTube stuff changed, and you had 10, 12 years ago, you had stuff like The Annoying Orange getting aired on Cartoon Network, and you had a corporate bought him out basically. You had or maybe it was Nick. It might have been Nick. The other guy was on Nick. The kid with the high pitched voice, the little boy. He's playing his little brother. Yeah, that guy. Him too. What the hell's the guy's name? He's Fred, the Fred Show. That became a thing too. That was Nick, I think. Yeah. So the Fred Show, iCarly, stuff like that. Disney, Montana, earlier on. Yeah. So these corporate companies got into the game, and they were like, we're gonna post on this new thing called YouTube and make a lot of money. So they had this like snake feeding itself on itself going on. They had. We could get this YouTuber who's got 1 million views, and make him a star on our show for a while and get money from him, as he gets money from us. It's kind of what they do with bestseller books in the New York Times and what, or at least they did. They would say, okay, we want this multimillionaire politician guy's name recognition, so he will pay us for a certain number of books, and then we'll say he's a bestseller for 2 weeks and say New York Times bestseller list for a couple of weeks, even though nobody cares about the guy after he runs and he's no longer in office, or he's a pundit. And But he bought the books, and then he'll have a fire sale at the end and say like, "Oh look, my books are free online. My online site, they're half off." Or something. It's like, yeah, you bought all those books, and now you got a warehouse full of them because nobody bought them. But yes, with the YouTube channel, you don't have books being sold. At least you have a profit there. So that's kind of the problem with this other thing too. You don't have a profit there. You've got YouTube hits. It's not profit. You gotta have ads, which is why the adpocalypse happened with all the extra ads on there. There are ways around that, and I'm not going to tell you what they are. You have to figure it out, because they would immediately flag my channel if I told you. There are ways. You can find them, and they're not illegal. They're perfectly legal. I'm not going to tell you, but you can get around the ads. And because the ads aren't paying them revenue. Now, yeah, if your channel has, let's say your channel has, they do it by subscriber count, not by views. So I got the YouTube things up there. I used to have them saying, oh, there's YouTube videos, these higher YouTube videos, 1,000 YouTube videos. Yeah, but that's not how they do it. They do it by subscriber count, because they do it by ads on YouTube. So that guy going on about, or guy, some other ones too, going on about, oh, they could just rise up, and no, they can't. It's not possible. It would be a needle in a haystack. They wouldn't accomplish anything. It would only be the ones that have 1 million views and more. If those ones that have 1 million views and more, 1 million not views, 1 million subscribers and more, if they went in solidarity with the writers, said, I have 1 million subscribers on my channel, and I will back these guys and turn off my ad revenue for stream for because I can, because he would be a millionaire if he could do that, and it wouldn't matter to him, If they did that, then the producers would notice, and they would say, "Oh my goodness, that millionaire dude turned off," or not millionaire, but those guys over there. No, we have hundreds of views now, but yes, a subscriber, somebody with a lot of subscribers, yes, would make a difference. Somebody with no subscribers, don't bother. Somebody with 1,000 subscribers, don't bother. 500,000 subscribers, don't bother. Ain't gonna make a dent in it. Millions, though, with an actual company backing them, they turn on that and they say, oh, I'm going to do that. They might actually make a difference, but not just regular YouTubers going to that website. None of those guys. We wouldn't do any good by doing it. So, yep. Didn't do a thing by doing it. Like I said, we don't have thousands of subscribers anymore. We do have thousands of videos, but we wouldn't make a dent. Also, we do not monetize our fan films. Because I figured, why monetize a fan film? It's technically you're taking someone else's work, taking someone else's sandbox, someone else's script, and you're acting the parts that are in the script. Making a movie out of it. Why you wouldn't pay for that? Yeah, pay for that. Be free. It would give you a byline. Some people have objected to having their names on a byline, but only some. Most of them say, that's cool that you adapted our thing. Liked it. It's fun. Yeah. The mush recently as well. The lexicons, the thing. We don't get many comments from the others because they took that away. They took away some of the little upvote, downvote things too, so make it impossible to tell whether they like the video or not. The queue was weird for the algorithms, but how that works, and even siblings don't understand this. So how that works is where you've been, the algorithm remembers. So if you go to a lot of political sites that are slanted one way, you're going to get a lot of hits for political sites slanted one way. Got a lot of space sites, space sites will pop up. You go a lot of conspiracy sites, that'll pop up, don't you? But yeah, we weren't able to yeah, so it's like, yeah, it goes where you think it's going to go. It's an echo chamber. They might ask, oh, what about Calcat's Twitter? What does he do with the Twitter thing, with Elon Musk and all that stuff? We don't have a Twitter. We haven't had a Twitter for 6 years. It was a cesspool 6 years ago, and now it's even worse. So, don't care. If you want to leave, leave. Go somewhere else. I hear this new Threads thing is a little better. But who knows how long that'll last. Yes. Yeah, and we're barely on Facebook at all. So, yeah, social media is not a thing we do so much. But the YouTube channels, where they can't figure out where we are, they can't figure out who we are, and they're just YouTube channels, yeah, you can't track that. So, well, it's not that we're worried about being tracked, but it's just that there's no reason everybody needs to know where everybody is out in cyberspace. Yeah, so Ooh, so, the Star Trek thing, you kind of have. Yeah, you have a lot of armchair quarterbacking in science fiction, especially, and I know more about the science fiction. So. Yeah, people saying, okay, well, what happened to the writing in this one show, or what happened to the writing in that other show, like Star Trek, for instance, or a Star Wars thing, or a Marvel property, and they're like, oh, why wasn't this better written? Was it the writer's strike that did it? They like to say, was it the writer's strike that did it, when there's like a current movie that just came out. Yeah, like, no. The writer's strike is relatively recent. It was only a couple months ago that it started. So all the movies that are in theaters now were in production a year ago. So, no, it has not done. The Indiana Jones sequel was not affected by it. The Mission Impossible current movie not affected by it. In fact, that movie had actually been held back a year. It had actually been finished last year. Indiana Jones 1 2. In fact, they filmed in a similar location, so some of the chase scenes are similar because they used some similar sets. But yes, so we have and Fast and the Furious 10 was also in production before. 6 months ago, a year ago. So they had nothing to do with it. The writer's strike will affect stuff in 2024. That they keep going with it, and the actors and stuff. There will not be as many TV shows on television in 2024, but I think there's probably enough streaming stuff in the background for them to show in rerun for at least a year, even if they stayed. And they're not going to hire on new writers for less pay. Now, what the studios need to do, and they won't, studios need to decide, all right, we will pay the online streaming writers what we pay the TV writer, TV writing staff. We will pay them the same because even though the ad revenue is different, and the way it's structured is different, and we make different kind of money, we want to pay them anyway. Can't pay them as much, but we'll pay them because they're not going to earn as much. But yeah, that'd be the thing to do, but they probably won't do that. And I'm not in charge of anything. So, well, they produce fan films. I just thought that I would tell you about that. It's like, they're not going to do that, of course. They're just going to hire new scabs because they can. Scabs are like extra writers. Fix stuff. Script doctors or something. And no, they're not going to hire the algorithm to do it. I've seen some of that algorithm stuff, the AI. It isn't good enough yet. It's like, it isn't good enough. I tried some of that AI stuff. I tried to make up a story written by AI as one of them story things, and it was like even the character recognition is screwy, and it comes out. It ain't what I said. I ran one of the channels through the AI. I was just like recorded myself like the blog, and it completely scrambled what I said. It completely screwed it up. So no. Completely, it was like gibberish. No, AI is not writing scripts. No, it would be nonsense, utter nonsense. And also, I think Adam Savage pointed that out when he had somebody try to write some stuff for him. But yeah, so anyway, my rant on it's not talking pointless though. Oh, the writing strike thing. Yeah, so it's not making of the Robotech thing either. That's kind of... No, it really isn't. It's just an update. I think I'll put this update over on the other channel where there's updates. This will be on the On Location Cat channel. Yeah, it's sort of a Cat Show update thing, because it's not really the 1,000 channel review channel. It's the update one. Yeah, that could need some love. So yeah. So the greedy executive producers want their money. They don't want to, they'll do whatever they do. So we ain't got no money. So yeah, so the bottom line is, and the short of it is, unless they're actually highfalutin corporate shill YouTubers who are ultra famous, who have millions of views and millions of subscribers, there's no point in any of them rising up to in solidarity because they'd have to have millions. If they don't, they can do anything. Like if you get it like, just think about it like this. If each time you, if each month your subscriber count makes you $500,000, if it does that, which it doesn't here, but if it does, now it makes us about $6. But yeah. But we don't have ad revenue, so we don't take the $6. So it's free pretty much. We don't make a profit. But if you did, if you made a profit, if you had thousands of dollars out there, then those guys would make a dent in the thing. They stopped watching YouTube TV and stuff and change things. Pay for play, YouTube TV also screwed that up. Once they went mainstream and decided we're gonna make YouTube TV, yeah, then it's not YouTube anymore; it's TV. Yeah. So, fortunately, there are ways to have your YouTube studio still going. But if you take away the ad revenue, then you have a channel that disappears for a while from the stream. Yeah. So it pops up again. Yeah, the pandemic allowed us to go online and do that, and that raised up, and then they thought, oh, we're going to make a lot of money doing that. Let's sink all our money into that streaming thing. And you discover, no, that's going to end eventually. They didn't think that far ahead. And it's going to be over. And when it's over, the pandemic, then everyone's going to go back to work. And they're going to be like, we're not going to go online anymore. Of course, I won't. We'll be retired. But yeah, I'll just be on YouTube like I always am. So yeah. So that was my rant. So that's how it kind of works from what I've ascertained from several other websites. I am not an expert in studios or anything like that. Create fan films for free. No AdSense. No revenue. What a Robotech fan film. No revenue. Star Trek fan film. No revenue. Because we can't make any money on other stuff. So yeah. Yeah. I'm not going to go into what that is though. Their Mega Road stuff. Yeah. Not yet. You'll find it.